Welcome to No Quitting the Home Team, a summer podcast on marriage. My name is Renee.
And I'm Dave.
And I'm Jesse.
Today on the show, we are going to learn why it's critical to have fun in your marriage. You may think that fun and being playful is a sort of a luxury that you have in your relationship. If everything's going well, then you can have fun. Actually, it's the other way around. We're going to learn that purposeful fun and play is actually important in your relationship, and it can be what actually gets you through the rough patches. So that's coming up later in the show. But first, we're going to start by asking Renee, how are we doing? How's marriage going for you right now?
Well, today is our actual wedding anniversary.
Today is the day.
It's
How
the
many?
day. Today, our marriage can drink.
21, baby.
21 years ago today. So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Thank you.
We're supposed to be in Hawaii right now, hiking. How do you say it? The Nepali? Is it the Nepali coast? The Nepali coast?
Nepali is however.
Nepali coast. And yet, we are in Denver
Recording a podcast.
and having probably one of the worst weeks that we've had in a while.
Yeah. So here we are.
Yep, we kind of shared our air conditioning story last week that we thought, it can't get any worse than this, but
It was sort of like complaining about 2019 and not 2020.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we can't wait for 2020 to come.
Little did they know.
No, it really tanked after our podcast last week.
Tell the people what happened.
So it's been well established how much I love unexpected home repairs. So last Friday, we are preparing to pick up my nieces and nephews to take to camp with our boys. And Dave was taking a shower before we went to the airport, and he was like, something's funny's happening in the bathtub. There's brown water coming up out of the drain. And I was like, really?
And I said our toilet, which faithful listeners will recall is right next to our shower. Our toilet begins to bubble up
And won't flush.
And then the shower won't drain.
Mainline.
Oh, Jesse, if only you could have diagnosed that, it would have saved us.
Well,
So, long story short, nothing sewage related is exiting our house. We plunge it. We even have an auger that Dave tries to break up, the crud. And so we retrieved the kids from the airport. We have our two that are at home right now, and then the three nieces and nephews.
5 children.
And the downstairs toilet will flush, but it immediately goes into the bathtub, right?
Upstairs.
So we're like,
By it going, meaning the contents in the toilet goes directly, it's ejected directly up through, we have a pump up and then into the backed up pipe, and then it goes directly and
Into
fills our bathtub full.
So
of
our
the
options are,
contents.
do you tell these kids you can't go to the bathroom? Or we're like, what are our options? Did I mention it was Friday?
Yeah.
So we start frantically calling plumbers, none of which can come out on Friday. So we get to sit with this scenario all weekend.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The plumber came at 8:00 on Monday morning.
Yep.
So
But-
where did you guys poop all weekend?
Well, we would get up and go to Starbucks.
We have a Starbucks 4 blocks from our house, and I pooped and peed all weekend at Starbucks.
And we had to buy lots of coffee because we felt badly. just going in and using their bathroom.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah, so-
understandably so.
right?
Yeah.
Especially to that end.
So we had that, and then I you can probably hear the remnants. I got the worst cold that I've had in years.
Yep.
That, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was terrible. You couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the cold. And then the final thing. So no air conditioning. We've talked about that. Poop everywhere.
It was central line. You were
It
accurate.
was central
You were
line.
accurate in your diagnosis.
Ask me how I know.
How do you know? Do you have experience with this situation?
We have an 80-plus-year-old home that has clay pipes going from our house to the main line, which is, or to the city line, which is in our alley, which is about roughly 50 feet from where it juts out of our house and goes out. So, and every 2 to 3 feet, it's clay pipe, and so you have these joints.
Oh,
and
dear.
we have a tree in our backyard that is as old as
the
our
tree,
house,
yeah.
and so every year, can set a clock to it. We have someone come out and get that 3-inch blade and clear out all the little root growth,
Oh gosh.
because it's going to be about, well, not dissimilar to our replacing air conditioner
Yep,
conversation.
yep,
You're
yep.
these days you're up into 5 figures
Yep,
to
yeah.
replace a main line. So
Yep.
so what else happened, Dave? You said that was only the second thing.
Yeah, so we are cooking dinner, and I just happened to look up above our cabinetry on our ceiling, and I saw mold.
He's like, no, it was mildew.
It was mildew, yeah.
You're like, what is that? And it seems to be getting bigger. Long story short, we need to not go into all the ins and outs of our house demise, but we had a leak in our roof, where the roof articulated with the chimney, and it's been just wreaking havoc on our
cabinetry.
and ceiling and framing and who knows what else.
Yeah.
All that to say, we have not had a great week, but to bring it full circle, I have felt like that it would be, here's a sports analogy, since we're knee deep in the Olympics. If I were on a 3-on-3 basketball team and I was facing a formidable opponent that I was really nervous about, and I looked to the side and my teammate was LeBron James, I'd be like, all right, I'm feeling good about this. I know this is going to be tough. And I've kind of felt that this week. Like, we've had challenges and we're not where we want to be. And this week was supposed to be a lot more fun and carefree than it has turned out to be. But I feel like, all right, we're in this together. I feel like we're teammates, and I'm kind of glad it's you and we've had fun despite the situation, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And anytime you want to compare me to LeBron James, I'm game for that.
I was gonna
that
say,
makes me
King
feel
Dave.
amazing. That makes me feel amazing. No, but I feel the same way with you. Like, hey, we've been good teammates. It was we were kind of hit with some adversity this week, and sort of on top of not being where we wanted to be. But
That's life.
That's life, and it, you know what, it was. Looking back, I think we'll see this past week, and we'll just laugh and say that was actually a good week.
The week that our entire bathtub was filled up with brown water and feces, that was a good week.
That was a good week. Those were the good old days.
All right, so that's us.
The moral of this story, from personal experience, and I don't know if this was the case with you guys. Here's the takeaway, friends. Nothing but toilet paper and waste
Hey, Jesse.
goes down the
You have
toilet.
no idea how profound that statement is. How profound.
I'm just saying, from our own experience,
Yes.
having kids,
Yes.
and just, it.
Yep.
And if a wipe says flushable, it's not flushable.
Yep.
Don't put it. Just
Such a
trash
profound
can.
statement.
Straight to the trash
That's
can.
the takeaway today, friends. That's it.
That one's free.
All right, surprise question.
Okay, Renee, I have a doozy for you.
I felt like I ambushed you last week.
I
And
know you really brought us down last week. We were,
yeah, it was intense.
we were. I was kind of depressed for the next couple of days after that
Sorry,
question. No,
sorry.
that's okay. No, but I have a good one for you. I think it's a good one.
Okay.
I don't think it's an ambush question, but it's a surprise. So we'll see. And we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Shoot.
So, this past week, you've been under the weather, and which is unusual for you. You're
Right.
like
I'm
the healthiest.
I'm not sick often.
Right. Now, me on the other hand, I sometimes, I'll get sick occasionally. I'm not sickly, but I'll get sick occasionally. And there is this dynamic
Oh, I know where he's going
in
with this.
our marriage
Oh, no.
where
No.
where you tend to get mad at me when I'm sick. And so the question is, what is it that's irritating to you about me when I'm sick?
It's so true, though, that it's such a strange dynamic that we have because I'm really compassionate with the boys when they're
You're
sick.
a therapist.
Right.
You walk beside people in their weaknesses for a living and made a career out of it and
Yeah.
are wonderful at it.
Yeah. No,
And yet when I'm sick,
No, I know. I'm not compassionate, and I kind of am a little miffed at you.
yeah.
And I really think it is directly related to the sickness versus level of debilitation ratio. So I think if I felt like your behavior and your expected tending was an accurate reflection of how sick you actually are, it would be easier when you were really sick to show appropriate compassion and nurturing. But the problem is, it doesn't matter if it's a splinter in the toe
Which are terrible.
or the bubonic plague. The level of dysfunction and and just inability to do anything but lay and moan. It's just the same. It's all in the same pot.
Okay.
And so it just really creates a difficulty for me to ascertain like where you actually are in the spectrum. Would you say that's true?
Well, I think now this is helpful to hear this because in I think whenever I'm not feeling well, I feel like, well, maybe I haven't communicated how miserable I feel well enough. And so maybe if I just am a little bit more vocal, then
Is it authentic
well, I
vocalization,
wonder if it's
or are you putting on a little bit?
well,
I
it's
think
just
I
about
think you
being
milk it. Anytime you don't feel well, you milk it. And this is the reality. I think this is a gender dynamic in a lot of relationships. We just have to keep going. We have to keep plowing through, and we can feel terrible, and we can't stop because so much depends on us keeping everything going. And so I think there's some just low key resentment that we
like
can't.
it's
Well,
whenever I feel bad,
we
and
can't-
then
we can't
the
lay down-
world's- if I expect the world to stop for me when I feel bad, like it's like this never happens for me.
Right.
So
right.
you need to sort of start feeling better quickly.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I do want to get better at that. If you're really sick, like if you're actually sick.
Well, I have noticed this in the past couple of years where you'll go from really quickly from like, hey, you need to just toughen up to, oh my gosh, do I need to take you to the emergency room? Like that it will be quick. And even though I feel like it's like no, I don't need to go to the emergency room. Like, I feel like that was a quick move. It does actually make me feel good. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, she now thinks I need to go to the emergency room. So I'm kind of on her radar.
Yeah. So it's like an actual realization of if there is true sickness
Right.
and not
right.
and not exaggerated symptoms.
I just need it to be validated.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Dave, how did your mom respond when you got sick when you were a kid?
Oh man, I had saltine crackers and 7-Up.
Was she very nurturing even at the like slightest?
Yeah, because I feel like there's
Yes.
I feel like this is setting expectations.
Yes.
Yeah. Was she?
No, definitely. And yeah, I kind of expect. Yeah, I had like saltines.
She couldn't see through your crap though, like I can.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe she could and just didn't care.
I was gonna say, or she did and just wanted to dote on her boy.
Dote on her little baby.
Yes. Yeah. Love you, Mom, if you're listening.
All right, that's a good one. Good one. All right. Now we are going to get to the part of the podcast where we kind of talk about observations or marriage truths that might be helpful, just nuts and bolts in, but seriously though. Dave, what's but seriously though today?
Today, I want to talk about a very underappreciated aspect of marriage that pays huge dividends. And it's this: fostering play in your marriage, having fun. Couples can get stuck in patterns where they realize they don't laugh anymore, they don't smile. It's always serious all the time, and sometimes they're having important conversations about their relationship and how they want their relationship to be different, etc. But they don't play anymore. Now, it's they're grown up, and so it's not like they may think that play kind of went the way of
Childhood.
Childhood or in college. But the truth is that play is actually a critical way that we adapt to change. So, for example, we all have kids here.
Well, all the listeners may not have
Yeah,
kids.
yeah. I'm looking at Renee,
In this
you, and
room.
Jesse.
Yeah, in this room,
In this
okay.
room, we all have kids, and we've all noticed how our children, they've gone through so much change. I mean, childhood is nothing but change.
Mm-hmm.
And the
rapid change.
rapid,
Perpetual, yeah.
significant change in their own bodies, in their
Psychological,
environments,
yeah,
psychological,
neurological.
yeah. And how it is that they adapt to that radical change is that they play. And sometimes as adults, we think that play or having fun is avoiding problems or avoiding stuff, the grown-up stuff that we need to do. And maybe for some people it is. But the reality is that play and fun is a critical component of how it is that we learn to grow and adapt to actual change we experience in our adult life. And those couples that learn to have fun and foster fun doesn't mean you have to be funny or like a fun-loving personality or center, of the party type personality. But couples that really foster fun as best as they can, it's like a secret weapon for dealing with change, the inevitable kinds of change and tensions that come up over the course of an entire marriage. So I always encourage couples, hey, what do you guys like to do? What makes you laugh? And again, throw expectations out the window in terms of what ought to be fun or funny, or give you guys pleasure. Decide for yourself what would be fun, and go for it and do it. And
Do you think we've done this?
on the whole, I think we have done
Do
this.
you?
Yeah, I feel like we laugh a lot. And now, do we go out and have fun in the same way that college students go out and have fun, no. But I feel like we have fun a lot.
Yeah.
And probably if we could go back and diagnose seasons of our relationship that were hard, we probably can say, hey, we actually quit having fun. Or we stopped fostering play in our relationship.
So what if somebody, I feel like you just get in these patterns, right, of how you interact. And what if a couple is listening and it just hasn't been a part of their patterns for a long, long time? Like, that seems like a clunky starting point. Like, how do you begin other than just like, that's not overly forced.
Right.
Like, dang it, we're going to have fun tonight. Smile.
Well, I think it would be okay for it to feel forced if you both know what you're doing. I mean, I can't remember if we talked about it on this podcast or not, but often when you're learning good communication techniques, it is forced because you're breaking old patterns, and those old patterns that need to be broken. But it's not it doesn't feel natural because it isn't a part of your relational dynamic, and yet it's the stuff that comes quote unquote natural is precisely the stuff that's hurting your relationship. So you have to interject some things that aren't natural. So I would say it's okay if fun is a little bit forced at first.
It feels like a discipline, kind of.
Yes. I think discipline's a good way to describe it. And another way to think of it is what gives you energy. So individually, like what would sort of, what's gas in your tank, and how to so maybe a little easier way to kind of get to play or get to fun is how do we begin to integrate into our relationship stuff that we know that we like to do. So whether it's playing basketball or smoking a cigar or having drinks with the friends or whatever, most couples have things that they at least remember enjoying doing at some point that they can begin to integrate pretty easily. And you can't do everything at once,
right,
but you can pick one thing.
Do you want to tell them how I dashed your kind-hearted attempt at scheduling something fun for us this week?
Yes.
I was the damper.
Well, you weren't feeling well, so I understood. But we've talked on a previous podcast how much we enjoy watching golf, and that neither of us play golf.
You do. When I heard that, you actually do play golf.
I know how to play golf.
And
I don't
play once a year. Like, you play some.
I've played it 3 times in the past 15 years.
Okay. Then you don't play golf.
Not that I'm keeping count.
You have to relearn your swing every time you go out, right? And so it's like if
3 times, 3,000 times, it's all the same kind of.
Well, yeah, no. But I'm saying if you have to relearn how to swing a club every time you go out to the links, like, you don't know, like, you don't play golf.
And that's where I am different. Where I don't have to relearn. Like, I know how to swing. I go out on a golf course, and I don't look like a noob. But it's just I don't play very often. But anyway, we were gonna play. We were gonna go to Top Golf last night, and hit the golf ball around, have drinks, and just sort of goof around. And anyway, you weren't feeling well. But the sort of energy behind that what is this idea? Like, let's just have fun. But that's also a posture. We ended up watching the Olympics in bed. I took the day off yesterday, watching the Olympics in bed, and had a blast and laughed like never before.
If you haven't seen, so 3-on-3 basketball is new to the Olympics this year.
It's incredible.
Did you watch the gold? If you haven't seen the gold medal match for the men between Latvia and the Russian Olympic Committee, what is that even? Who knows? But it is the most entertaining comic relief in sports you'll ever see.
And high drama.
Oh my gosh,
did
you see it? Oh, we just rolled. We just rolled.
We were dying.
We did have fun.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my as a pastor and as a pastoral counselor, it is my encouragement to you to look for ways to have fun and to play in your relationship. And another thing I want to encourage you to do that's related is schedule vacations. And they don't have to be elaborate vacations. They don't have to be the long 2-week vacation. Schedule days away. Schedule and they can be little fun little vacations that you know you would enjoy doing together. Maybe even trying new things together. Put that stuff on the calendar in the future. Our friend Scott Stanley, who's a marriage researcher, he's highlighted that whenever you schedule vacations and you schedule fun little outings, it creates a like a guardrail in your relationship together for the future, because you're both looking forward to something together, and it creates a guardrail for your relationship. And you always want to just keep putting stuff on the calendar. So that's related to having fun. You want to constantly be trying to have fun, engaging in play, and schedule vacations.
We don't do that very well. We don't do that. We need to do better at that during the year. We just do our like big summer vacation, but we don't have little like benchmark things to look forward to. I think that's something we need to do too.
Yeah, I do too.
I'll get on that.
Okay, great.
Do you want to do intro the what's weird about us?
Okay.
Guys, this one, I feel like we just have a gold mine of things that are weird about us. And I think we could do thousands of episodes with what's weird about us. So this one, so I think every couple has ways that they communicate to each other that they're game. Following me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is why we have a disclaimer at the beginning of this podcast.
Yes. So throughout the years, we've had different signals, right?
Right.
And there have been seasons that they're super creative, super sexy.
And like really obvious
Yeah.
and intriguing.
But where we have devolved in the 21st year of our marriage is it's simply an acknowledgement of basic personal hygiene in keeping with the toothbrush theme, the teeth brushing theme. If I say to Dave, hey, I'm going to go brush my teeth. This has become
Are you now?
this has become the signal for I'm game, which is so ridiculously base and sort of pathetic.
Although, I mean, from my perspective, when I hear those beautiful words, I sit up in bed, I'm like, let's go.
Well, and
I'm happy as can be.
And to be fair, you've got teenagers.
No, it's
so,
true.
So the more innocuous the innuendo,
It's true.
the better.
It's
Because
true.
if you're even trying to be coy, they're
Yeah.
going to be like, God, you're gross.
Right.
Mom, stop.
Right.
Dad, don't. Come on.
But if you just look at it at face value, seems very pathetic. That is our form of communication.
Well, I love
creativity.
it whenever sometimes I come into bed and you've noticed that I've brushed my teeth. Your response is almost always, oh my gosh. Like,
Well,
are you really tonight?
well, and I have to sometimes I have to not declare that I've brushed my teeth if I don't have those intentions, because
was
it's
gonna
something that happens every night, right?
Yeah.
So if I can't say I'm going to brush my teeth, I have to do it on the sly. If I'm not trying to communicate to you that I'm game.
That's why I'm confused, because, like, does Dave just not brush his teeth on the nights where he's not
You
game?
know, Jesse, we don't have to get into that.
I mean, I'm not trying
This
to
is
out
maybe
you
getting a little
publicly,
too real.
but also
Yeah.
brush your teeth, kids.
I mean, definitely most nights I brush my teeth.
I like that. Definitely most nights.
Yeah, so it's really weird that communication has devolved into just acknowledging basic personal hygiene.
But you know what? I'll take it.
There we are.
Listen. Listen.
Hey,
However you have to communicate that green light, shoot your shot.
All right.
well, for book recommendations today, we actually don't have a book recommendation because we have questions that have come in from you, our listener. And Renee has a question that's really just sort of a situation that someone is in. And we think it's definitely representative of where a lot of couples are right now, especially in Denver. So Renee's just going to read the question, and it's just a paragraph of the situation, and then we're going to reflect on that.
Yeah. And thank you for everyone who we've gotten some emails and some questions, and we love the feedback. So we appreciate those. Keep them coming. So this question says, our family loves Denver. We feel purposed here, called here even. And yet, if we're honest, family life is hard in our city. Denver's not affordable. The culture is not necessarily family-friendly, kid-friendly. And the reality of educating our kids here feels scary. We're often far from family, grandparents, cousins, etc., who would be great help to us. And family life here often feels lonely, discouraging, and overwhelming. This sentiment has only been compounded by COVID, and we could all use some encouragement and hope. How have you and Dave navigated this reality? It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question, and the answer to it isn't necessarily easy. I mean, I think there is an answer to it, but it's not an easy answer. But I do think there is hope and encouragement in it. And that is that this tension is felt most acutely when you don't have meaningful Christian community. And when you feel this tension, and I know everyone feels it, and Renee and I, we have certainly felt it. And Jesse and I know we've talked about it. You felt it.
We've talked about it this morning.
Yes. But the answer is to double down on Christian community. The church is the household of God. Renee, Jesse, Shell, these aren't just my friends and my wife. They are my brothers and sisters in Christ. We are the family of God. And because Denver has the rhythms that it does, and you can invest in people and have that family, and sometimes those family moves away, and it can be devastating. It can become pretty easy to kind of clam up and to say, I'm not going to make that kind of investment again. But the hard answer is we have to double down on community afresh.
I do think we're all feeling this acutely post-COVID.
Yes.
And not just Christian community for me, but I feel like I'm having to rebuild all aspects of community. I think we're all really lonely, and it just takes a lot of volition and gumption to invest what needs to be invested again. And it almost feels like a start over.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this morning that here we are. Part of what I do right now is I oversee our fellowship group ministry. We were talking this morning that you and I, it's like, well, we need to join a fellowship group. And that's kind of where we not start one. We need to join. We need to just sign up and join a group, not to as quality control, but because we actually need church as family right now.
Yeah. I think investing in other arenas in your community is important too. So when we moved to our little bungalow, we dug into our neighborhood, we dug into the kids' school. Like we invested not just in church relationships, but in other relationships in Denver. And I think in some ways that's helped offset, like not all communities are really transitional at the same time.
Right.
And I would encourage, I know the person who sent this email, we felt a significant shift. Our first 6-7 years in Denver, we said goodbye to everyone, it felt like, who moved home or whatever. And then when your kids get to a certain age, it doesn't happen as much.
Right.
Like, because you get embedded enough in a school or a community, it's just, unless you have to move, they're just not making those choices as sort of flippantly or just like, oh, we just want to move back home or whatever. So we felt it got better for us when our kids got elementary school age and older.
Right. Although it did feel really depressing though in those first couple of years.
No, it is. It is. Yeah, I remember when my kids were little, I think Will may have been in school, maybe not. They were still all at home. I had a really good friend live on both sides of me. And we just had this reality every day. I mean, we would just let them run feral. And
it was amazing.
And we would just chat, and both of them moved pretty in close proximity to each other. And I told Dave I grieved more than I did when my grandparents passed away. Just the loss of that connection, easy connection. Neighbors are easy, right? Because nothing has to be scheduled. They're just there. But I do feel like we all need a bit of goading right now to just jump back in. Like, jump back in with energy and with intentionality, and jump back in. The hardest part is we know how much time it takes, right? To develop these relationships and to get to the point where the community feels like family. And I think we all just need a, like, let's all do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
Because I do. I mean, I have spaces I've got to pour energy into to regain the community that I had. And it's hard. And I still feel like we're all a little deer in the headlights from COVID, and maybe all a little socially out of practice. And it feels scary.
It does. But the alternative is worse.
Yeah. And I think the byproduct, kind of bring it back around to your marriage, it takes so much pressure off your marriage when your communities are strong.
Yes.
And when it's just you and your spouse, or you and your individual family, there's so much pressure on just that relationship. So to kind of view it from a marriage standpoint too, it will benefit you in that arena as well.
Definitely. And also, just as a little footnote, for families that are sort of considering moving away, like back towards where you came from.
Don't do it.
Don't
Please,
do it. Well,
somebody stay.
Here, no, I will say this. The cultural shifts in the past few years have been so significant that where you came from isn't the same either.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yep.
And and so it's not like you can go back to where it used to be, because it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. So grass is always greener on the other side. As my Peloton instructor says, the grass is greener on the other side because they water it. We can water.
Which Peloton instructor says that?
Allie Love.
Oh.
We can water our own yard.
Yeah.
And we can water our own grass. And if your grass is stiff and the green is beginning to fade, we can sort of put the sprinklers back out there and start watering it.
Mm-hmm. I listened to a podcast this morning, and it was talking about friendship, because there was a study that was released, and I can't remember where, but the average, the percentage of American males who say they have zero close friends is 35%.
Staggering.
And the percentage of American females who say they have zero friends is like 22%.
Yeah.
And so they were discussing that reality and that reality post-COVID, but also how really this is where the church can shine. This is where it's like, this is what we're called to do.
And what we're good at. We're good
Right.
at this.
Yep. So it is a void that we really can step in various places in our community and showcase what it looks like to live in community and love one another well.
Yeah. Good. Well, great question. And I know it's one that a lot of our listeners are having to grapple with. So hopefully this discussion is helpful to you. Well, guys, that's it. Thanks so much for listening to No Quitting the Home Team. If you have questions you would like to ask, send them to us, Renee@fellowshipdenver.org or Dave@fellowshipdenver.org. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, bye.
See you guys.
Bye.